Non-spoiler. Now, what you're going to be hearing is me assess the movie without ruining it, like some people are already doing. Now, I will tell you there's two end credit scenes. Some of the best end credit scenes that Marvel has produced in a very long time, as far as the payoff. Um, the pacing of the film, I felt was good in the beginning. The first two acts, the final act, I think people are going to start to have a problem with. Because in the final act, it's like they abandoned the film and went to making like spinoffs. It's like a TV show that's setting up for other shows to kick off. They start setting up for spinoffs. And the cohesiveness is disturbed. To where the other two movies, the other comparing Ant-Man's. Now, a lot of you probably haven't seen Ant-Man's until like now. You probably haven't even seen the first one. And I always go back and forth with the first and second one on which one I like the best. I like the first one, the introduction, because it was like a time heist. The second one I like too, because I love the father-daughter dynamic. And you see why he was in the situation he was in. He was conflicted because he the one ended up being punished. He wasn't treated like a superhero, like everyone else was. And it had a dynamic. But in the end, the payoffs didn't really hit. The end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the end scene, didn't really hit. And in the first film, his battle, it had more of an impact, but it didn't really hit. So now that you have a pure villain, and boy is he a villain. The first half, you don't know in the film if he's friend or foe. Is he's a tragic anti-hero? You don't know. So you're on the fence. And it's engaging. And Jonathan Majors did a great job of really taking the film, even though it was more Shakespearean than I would think for Kane, his approach of acting for Kane. And it seems like at times he's got to remember Kane always puts his hands in front of him, almost imperialistic. And it seems unnatural for him to do. It's like he'll be acting and remember, oh, I got to put my hand here. And it's these long Shakespearean, it was more like a play with him in the beginning. It's how he chose to play the character. But as the film goes on, he gets revealed to be more of just a villain, period. And his, it's a lot of unanswered questions in this film. Like I can understand. You got a rebellious daughter. Scott has missed a lot of time. He wants to go in there and get back some of those years because Casey is rebelling. She didn't have her dad around, so she's like, I'm grown now. You can't come back and be my daddy now. She's into that kind of mode, rebellious, doing her own thing. So he feels he needs to go back in time to kind of correct that. Like he felt like that 5-year gap messed up everything. like as far as his connection with his daughter. So you get that with Scott Lang. I mean, the early Dairy Queen scenes and the whole beginning is hilarious. It's Ant-Man. Then they shoehorn the one character in the show instead of Michael Pena's character or Ti. We get the weird character guy shoehorned into the movie for no reason. And believe me, when you see that, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I said shoehorned. He shoehorned in, and the scenes are really not funny. I mean, to me, they just like, you don't even fit right now. You fit when you had all three of y'all were together. Now it just looks ridiculous, you know, for him to be there. T.I. was actually good in Ant-Man's. Despite of what he might be in real life and all the other craziness that he's a part of, in this dynamic he worked. He fit all the way across the board. There wasn't a problem with his character whatsoever. Now,
Heroes to some people.
now to a degree, let's say Marvel has decided to take a range of this is a setup movie and this is an Ant-Man film. So it's not going to be the massive budget that's going to be for the Kane dynasty, but this is what we're going to use to spearhead this new universe, so that when you see everything else and all the new stuff and the changes, it won't be alien to you, and then Kane will be responsible for all of it. Now, you said was Ti quick? What? Or was it quick, Sino? The film is kind of quick as far as the pacing. It's kind of fast. It's kind of like all over the place at one point. But yeah, it's kind of quick. Like, I mean, I swear the movie is probably about less than 2 hours. For a Marvel movie, I thought this would be longer. It felt short. It really did. It did not feel long. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. The movie over? Kane was good. And a lot of people say it's an outstanding performance. And yes, he played this like a Shakespearean character. He had the look of Kane. He delivered on lines that was Kane. It's just that in the second half of this film, they decided to make Kane like a comedian, give him some funny lines. And I'm like, did Disney come in here and F this up? You said as long as he breaks free, that's all I care about. Be Wyatt, I'm not going to spoil this movie for you, but let me tell you something. I was not satisfied with the end of this movie. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not satisfied with the end. I kind of understand what they're doing and why they did what they did. You'll have to watch the end credits to make sense of the ending, but I left with more questions. I left with more questions than I should have had. I should have had some direct answers. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but the questions, some of the questions you got going in the movie, you're going to have those questions when the movie's over. And that shouldn't be. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, why am I seeing this? you're going to have more questions because they're not going to be explained. What is one of the main questions you have going into the film? Exactly, B. Wyatt. And guess what? You ain't getting the answer. He ain't getting that answer, so don't ask. So that's confusing. Then you got the people that's already been down there. Then it looked like Shock Boy and Lava Girl. So I'm like, this reminds me of it kind of reminds me of the Rise of Skywalker meets Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Especially with MODOK in it. It looked like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Now, the way I'm talking, I guarantee you, when you see Shark Boy and most of y'all never probably saw Shark Boy and Lava Girl. If you saw Shark Boy and Lava Girl, you would understand exactly what I'm talking about. MODOK looks just like the dude who goes into the doggone thing, the villain. And boy, is he misused. Hell, the poster even looked the same. Yeah, George Lopez. What's like everybody who see MODOK is like grossed out when they see him. They're like, oh, like they about to throw up when they see him. And it's like everybody does it. And it's like the running joke of the movie. Like they see him, and because the CGI is terrible with him, and it's just not looking good. Well, they kind of give him a little something to do, but he's out of place. In the actual pacing of the film, he's out of place. Believe me, at one point, you're going to think, like, what is all going on here? We're going to be like, man, this movie's going in so many different directions now. But the two standout characters is Michelle Pfeiffer, almost said Mekhi Pfeiffer, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Jonathan Majors as Kane. It's just too much dialogue in the fight scenes. A lot of stuff don't need to be talked about anymore. You've done all this talking. You need to just continue with the fight that's actually happening. People are stopping mid-fight just to drop a line. It's like just can you continue fighting? We don't understand how Kane powers work at all. You never get this answer. Sometimes he could kill you. Sometimes he could stun you. And we don't know why. How do we decipher that? Where's this power coming from? Like, how is he able to control? I have so many questions, and I've seen the goddamn movie. I got the questions y'all got, and I've seen it. No, the movie is actually a good movie. Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie. They just didn't land the plane. That's the problem. The ending didn't land. And it should have. It was there to land. When they first dropped the trailer and I saw this, I said, oh, this Shock Boy and Lava Girl look like when they was in the quantum realm. That's what it looks like. The set of a Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Now, when they go in, they get mixed up. To give you you get the bonding factor. You get the fact that, Hope Van Dyne has missed her parents, basically her mother, for 30 years. So there's this gap in between there, this difference in trying to catch up. And she wanted to have her mother with her for all this time. And now her mother's there and they, still have this awkwardness. So that was her angle. Other than that, this movie should have been called Ant-Man Quantumania. Why is it Ant-Man and the Wasp? I have no idea. Because the Wasp is the last character you see. She has probably the limited most of screen time of anybody in the film. As far as just absentee. I mean, she has probably a couple of scenes. But she's really, her character was dialed down tremendously. I mean, for real, it was just dialed all the way down to like zero, nothing. Now I'm just like, could they really make this movie without her? She was just in there, and the minimal, it should be featuring the Wasp. Like, for real, it was like a feature role. It was that small, believe me. She was that minimal. Hank Pym had more purpose. For real, everybody had a purpose except for her. Casey Lane had a purpose. Scott Lang had a purpose. Michelle Pfeiffer had the biggest role in the movie because she actually knows Kane. Kane knows her. Then you got Hank Pym, Pym Particles. You need him. Everybody's important here. What are you doing here, Wasp? What is your angle? I love Scott and I love my parents. Okay, that's her angle. Let's throw her in the mix. To look cute? Well, she didn't pull that off now with this short hair. Some people the short hair work for. And I think her putting that in this movie was not good for her. Don't bring your private life into a film. Better than Infinity War? Oh, hell no. No. Don't get drunk. This is not better than Infinity War at all. This is a good movie. It's not epic. Now, like I told you, the end credit scenes, if that's the ending, the payoff is good in the end credit scenes. That's all I'm going to tell you. You get a payoff in the end credit scenes. It's two of them. Both of them were good. I like both end credit scenes. Some of Marvel's best end credit scenes in a long time. Is it the best Ant-Man? I could say yeah, because of they actually had a villain this time. You know, they really didn't have one in Ant-Man and the Wasp. There really was no villain, really. Um, you know, you had the first one. Corey Stoll wasn't menacing enough, and it just didn't hit. You know, him and that whole villain thing with those two just didn't hit off the way it should. It was like a Iron Man, you know, remix. You know, Tony and Obadiah remix, which worked for Iron Man, did not work for Ant-Man in the end. I think he did an okay job, but as the yellow jacket. But I always hated that dynamic that it's the first time they putting on the suit and they know how to operate everything. You know, it's like, come on. It's the first time you got a suit and you can operate stuff. But I would say it's the best. The beginning is very good. The first half of this is absolutely great. Second half, it gets confusing because there's so many moving like things that's going on because they're trying to set up a whole lot of other things that's coming and moving forward. That's what the end credit scenes, the payoffs of that is for. So you know what you're finna get now. You got some movies set up. So this is gonna set up some movies. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, you're not gonna care about. Like a lot of people are not gonna focus. It does the look of it looks great, yes. The action scenes is just a lot of action. It's a lot of action. I wouldn't say it's like how the Russos did it, and they action scenes were like kind of great. It's it's good for what's out here today. It's good, it's decent, but we got to get back to doing action scenes without this like every three punches and something. Somebody's got to have a conversation. Everybody stop and chill out and listen. You know, it takes the seriousness out of it. And I don't know who from Walt Disney said Kane seems too serious. You know, let's kind of give a little levity to him now. You know, let's kind of make him like a sinister villain and crack a few funny lines. Who came up with that? I want to find out who's the man that came up with the idea to make Kane funny. Who was in that room that said, the guy that we got right now, that we got all the funny out of him when he who remains, the silliness, that now this is the different variant of Kane. This is the real the mean Kane, which he was mean. But then he's got this silliness in him too, just like he who remains. And I'm like, I'm not with that. No, this goes against what I know. Don't do that. You know, that's how I felt. It's like, don't do that. You gonna mess everything up. That's why I loved about the first film. It was the simplicity of it. This, they took something that was simple and made it something different. This was a simple movie with a simple plot, and it would have made sense had they just stayed with that. When you add other layers into it because you want to make this movie be the basically the catapult movie to branch off other programs, then you lose the continuity of the film and what it was about. It started off as one movie, then it turns into like 4 or 5 other movies. And you just hope the audience just doesn't care. But if we're vested into the character of Kang the Conqueror, this makes me, oh, Kane's bad. Now don't get that wrong. Kane is bad. When he gets to being, once he's revealed and his shroud has fallen and he's a villain, you don't have to worry about him. Like, you gonna know which side he's on and what's his true nature. But I don't like how silly they made him at times. And I don't like the fact that he's supposed to be the baddest thing in the universe, but Ant-Man is like holding his own. You know, it's like, huh? This dude can beat Thor and the Hulk and everybody else, but Ant-Man is giving him a run for his money. I'm like, what the hell? Like, we're not gonna get into spoiler reviews yet. We're gonna get to the spoiler thing. I don't want to mess this movie up for people, but you got to see it. Now, that's something you got to do. You have to watch it. It is a good movie. Will I watch it multiple times? Yeah, I'll watch it at least 2, 3 times. I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. I would say that. And I felt like I could have steered this ship. But then you got to look at what's really at stake here and what they really are doing. You know, this is really done to set up other movies. That's the whole purpose of it. To set the stage for Kang to be the villain. That's it. That's his purpose. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors. So if you go in there with that approach, you'll be fine. Just go in there saying to yourself, I'm here for Kang the Conqueror, for them to set up this other movies. I can care less about the story. I can care less about anything else that's going on here. All I need is Kang the Conqueror, them set up all this other stuff that's going on so we can get to the other movies. So you know I have a 4-star system. I give it 3 stars out of 4. I give it 3 stars out of 4. The first half was very well executed. The beginning of Kang, the introduction of Kang was great. Everything about him was great until once he's playing, once they realize that he's really bad, then that's when the movie gets bad. That's when everything goes left. Like they work. You don't ever have to worry about the dynamic working between Jonathan Majors and Paul Rudd. That chemistry worked. The Wasp, she don't even belong. They split them up in the quantum realm so everybody can get to their story and their arcs. Now I'm hearing rumors that Paul Rudd has saw the final, they just had the premiere, and that was the first time he's seen the actual film while it was put together. And was like, wow. They cut a lot of the fight scene out that he had with Kane. And he asked while he was there, like, man, why'd y'all cut that out? And they said, well, it was too violent. So there's some scenes in the movie that are missing. That I don't know if it's Disney or Marvel deemed it to be too violent. And to me, that's the thing you don't tell anyone who's coming to watch it. Like, yeah, we took that out the movie. I don't know where that's ever went well. Well, it was gonna be in the movie, but they took it out. I don't know where that's ever paid off. And when he does his stance like Kane, it looks forced. Like it's like somebody told him, "Oh, don't forget, you got to cross your hand over your arm. You have to do that." Kane always did that, so you have to. He always stood like an imperious stand, so you got to do that. And it's like he'll get into his acting, and he has to remember to put his hand over his other hand as such. So it doesn't look natural. That's the only thing I would say about that. It didn't look natural when he would do it. In the Snyder cut, when they put in Darkseid, that was the only knock on the Snyder cut. His Darkseid did not have his hands to the back like he normally always does. Well, How did Casey Lane do? She Casey did all right. Like I had no problem really with her. Like everybody kind of did their role of what they were supposed to do. There was just no place for the Wasp. She was really the emotional support on role only, you know. But there was really nothing for her to do. I think this is a $700 million movie. It's gonna make money. It's gonna make about 700, right? 750. I don't know if it gets a China release. It should. Um, some of the funny creatures that they did, special effects that they did in the quantum realm, the people there, the art design, I like that. That part looked great, and it seemed like that's where a lot of the budget went into making that pop. Like it's a guy that looks like some broccoli, he talking broccoli, and he got eyes on it. And the great concepts. And I'm like, did Guillermo del Toro come in here and start working? Goku, that's spoilerish talk. But I will tell you, you're gonna have a lot more questions when it's over. But stay for the two end credit scenes. It's worth it. It explains a lot. But once again, I know why they keep saying the MCU. If you look at it, all Marvel is seem to be moving towards this feminine movement of just women superheroes in the future. No, I didn't watch it in IMAX. It's not out to IMAX till tomorrow. So I have to watch it tomorrow in IMAX. Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. The Modoc guy did not look great. Like he did not. It did not look like something you wanted to see. I don't know what movie he's gonna appear next in, but if he's the villain in the Loki series, we shall see. We shall see. Like I said, the end credit scenes are the payoff. Everyone will be satisfied with the end credit scenes. I don't think anybody would not be like okay with the end credit scenes. I don't think so. You would like the end credit scenes. Uh, no, because they've closed all the Regal theaters near me. I'm gonna have to AMC it. I'm not huge on AMC whatsoever. Cinemark is right by me. I might go to the Marcus Cinema. That's by me. I haven't been to Marcus in a while. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, they did show Adam Warlock, but what I've heard about that movie, it's a complete mess. So yeah, let me get out of here. We'll talk about that later.